Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to change the world one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of a new book we have coming out called Sacred Spaces: Subtle Shifts for Mind, Body, and Home Transformation. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to get this conversation started. But first, I just want to say a big thank you to Colleen Avis for bringing this stellar author cast together. Colleen, we would not be here without you. You are amazing. You have a big mission with this book, and we are super happy to be a part of it. So let's start this party off with Angela. I'm going to ask all of you guys. The first question is about the beautiful chapters that you wrote, but don't not forget to read your bios because I almost forgot. So Angela Barbieri Usas is best known for her loving heart, and it's her mission to make the world radiate love. I also have Brett Eaton with me. He's a life optimization coach, speaker, author, owner, and founder of the Better You Blueprint coaching program and co-host of the podcast, the Better You Blueprint podcast. Jen Griswold is the CEO of Mission Entrepreneur, the makers of Boss Lady Bio, a tool that turns the link in your bio into a mini website to share your content with the world for a fraction of the cost. And Tanya Saunders helps working moms and female entrepreneurs create a work-life harmony through breath, positive, neuroplasticity, and astrology. Tongue twister bios are my favorite. Okay. You guys, if you don't feel the power of the awesome people I have in this Zoom room, I'm not sure how you will do that, but these are some pretty incredible people today. Angela, tell me about your amazing chapter.
Thanks, Laura. My chapter is number 7. It's called Love Your Heart Out, Finding the Path to Your Gold. And it really is about my journey in thinking my heart was broken and that I was too sensitive, to realizing that really I was just open to love and to now foster and empower women to find that same radiating love in their own hearts.
So you all stepped up to share a pretty vulnerable, awesome story. Thank you for that part of your chapters, to all of you. But you're all master teachers as well. And these chapters have a place where the reader gets to learn something. So Angela, tell me a little bit about that part of your chapter.
The thing that I'm really trying to help people learn is that we're all divine and we are all love. And when we have fear in our lives, it blocks that divinity from shining through. And so by really just tuning into your heart, dropping out of your head and getting into your heart, we live a much more radiant, joyful, happy, peaceful life.
So I remember the first time I was in a continuing education course, and I've got some years of background in holistic physical therapy. And this was a very holistic alternative kind of course I was taking. And I remember the first time someone said, get into your heart, like center yourself, because it's from that place that you serve, right? And we were doing hands-on types of techniques and things. Myofascial release was the class. So what I remember the most thinking was, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. And so there are a lot of people that are listening right now, and I want you to give them just a little nudge. How do I get into my heart? How do I do this?
Take a few deep breaths to really shed whatever is happening around you. And then after a few deep breaths, take an inhale through your nose and an exhale out your mouth like you're blowing through a straw, to help clear your mind. Because if you're focusing on doing that exhale through a straw, you can't be thinking about all the other things. And then you can place your hands on your heart, one hand on top of the other, and just start to focus your breathing in your heart space. And all the answers to everything we need to know is in our heart. And so it's a matter of dropping into that. And first you use the breath, and then physically placing your hand here can really help you do that. At the end of my chapter, my tool is a heart opener. So I guide you through a meditation to do that. It's harder to sit and read the meditation and really drop in. So I invite you to find that tool. But it's a practice. And if we do it the first time and we think, oh, I don't know, that didn't work. Every practice takes time and takes the intention of really wanting to get there. And so the first time you may not get there, you may just do the breathing. And then the next time you may notice, oh, okay, I feel my heart right now. It's a gradual process, but it's so worth it, because once you get there and you live from that space, you can't go back. Right. And that to me is the beauty.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I want everyone listening to understand that you're going to be given these exercises and guided tools and strategies, and I'll repeat the word practices in this book. We know what we know about these practices. We know how profound they can be, but practice is an operative word there, because it just keeps getting better. I love saying to people, you can't go back. Sometimes that feels really scary, right? But once you're in that deep of an awareness practice, you can't go back, and it only gets better. I appreciate what you said about that.
Thank you.
So how about you, Brett? Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thank you, Laura. So I am lucky chapter 11, and my chapter is called Life is Meant to be Played on Offense, Not Defense, the blueprint to winning every week. And I'm lucky enough to be one of the few males in a group of powerful women writing this book. And I came from a little bit more of a tangible side, where I truly believe that everybody wakes up on Monday expecting to have a great week. Nobody wakes up saying, this is a really good week to get my butt kicked. Everybody wakes up saying, I'm going to have a great week. But most often, people are not planning to have that great week. So I've spent years of my life struggling to win weeks. Was what I, from a former athlete, winning weeks is what we want to do. When we get stuff done, when we feel really productive, when we take care of our health, take care of our mind, take care of our body. So I've come up with a strategy that has worked for so many clients, and I wanted to share it in this book. A way to quickly prepare yourself to win weeks, prepare yourself to have a great week. And if you have a great week, you're going to live life on offense. And I truly believe that if you want the best life possible, the great life that we all deserve, you got to be playing offense.
I enjoyed your chapter, and I am such a planner. I think I was born a planner, right? But what I want to tell you all is that you're going to learn something even if you are a planner already. I loved it's not always about the shortcuts, but I loved that aspect of this because it just felt really simple to me.
I want it to be simple because I'm a simple guy. And if it's too complicated or too complex, I'm going to find an excuse, or I'm going to find the loophole. So I wanted it to be super simple. And when I say simple, this is something that I've used for years and still continue to use. So that just shows that it's not something that it's going to be 30 days, not a 60-day fix. It's something that you can do every single week. I recommend on a Sunday, that is going to set you up for a great week. And we all know that Sunday feeling when Sunday rolls around and you want to just grasp the last bit of your weekend, but you're already thinking about Monday and your brain is going to Tuesday to Wednesday, to the meetings, to the calls. Well, this allows you to get that out really simple, really quick, in a thorough way that allows you to actually enjoy the last part of that weekend. And when Monday rolls around, I like to think of it as there's a starting line. And when everybody else is starting at the starting line, you're starting with a full sprint. You have a head start and you get to hit that starting line in full speed, and you're already prepared to have a great start to your Monday.
So you all came from a place where, you shared a story about yourself. You all got to where you are today, having overcome some obstacles and challenges, maybe a couple, right? So for you, Brett, can you remember that time where you weren't doing that and what was happening?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've spent years of my life stressing over my Sunday to waste that last day of the weekend, not really excited for what's about to come on Monday. And a lot of that stress and anxiety that people feel is really just the unknown. We don't know what Monday is going to hold. We don't know what Tuesday is. And we can't guarantee that we know exactly what's going to happen, but we can set ourselves up for the best plan. I'm not a great cook, but if you give me a recipe, I have a chance. So what this is a recipe to win your week. It's a recipe to set yourself up so you have the best, most optimal chance to have a great week, as opposed to flipping a coin and saying, I hope it goes well, which is what most people do. Everybody wants to be productive. They want to take care of their health. They want to do all these things. But we just need to put a little planning in process so we're planning for our success as opposed to hoping for it.
Thank you, Brett. Okay,
Awesome.
Jen, you are up next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Okay, so I wrote chapter 12, which is called Overcoming Invisibility and Self-Doubt. You Deserve to Be Seen. And it's basically the story of my life, transitioning from a working girl who had a lot of goals to being thrust into a new me as a stay-at-home mom and a military stay-at-home mom. So I tell the story of kind of going from one world to the next and the discoveries that I make in it.
So you just threw a few things in those last couple of sentences. Like I'm just chuckling because any one of those things would have been enough to handle. So then you're piled on, right? A mom, a military mom, like all of the things. Like, tell me about how you got over that hump a little bit.
Yeah, it was a journey for sure. And when I look back on it now, I'm just so grateful for all the little pieces and how they came together. But initially, it was a jolt from, I was a really hard charging military officer myself. I went to the Air Force Academy, married my husband, who's still active duty. And coming from this world of, achieving, working hard, doing all these things, gaining accolades, all that kind of external stuff, to coming home as a stay-at-home mom with two kids who literally rocked my world, just changing diapers. It was a shift. But then add on top of it that we were going to be moving every couple of years because my husband was going to continue in the Air Force. And I started to learn that 90% of military spouses are under or unemployed because of these moves, these frequent moves. And yet on the flip side, I saw these women as some of the most powerful, capable, resilient women I had ever met in my life. And yet they couldn't, match up. So it was this really big chasm for me of, I used to be in the work world. Now I'm home and I see all these really talented women and we're all in this boat together. And that just became something that I was really determined to figure out. And I did that by starting my own business. And now I teach, other women how to do the same.
So the thing that you're making me think about right now is community. And sometimes when you don't have the community you need, you build it. And how important has that been for that particular community for you?
It's been, literally life-saving for me. And I tell the story of kind of one of my lower points, but what it is essentially is being bold enough to go for it. So for me, I hadn't seen anybody older than me, any mentors who were willing to step out of the traditional spouse role of hosting coffees and teas and showing up in gowns to, balls and things, to really getting after what people wanted, which is how do I get a job or how do I start my own business? And so I just said, I think I'm going to have to be that girl and went ahead and did it, which comes with a lot of scrutiny. I definitely wasn't the popular spouse. But now I turn around and look at how many lives have been influenced and how important that was. And it's fantastic.
Yes, you said it, life-changing. That's awesome. Thank you, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya, tell me about your chapter.
Hi there. Yeah, so I have chapter 3, and it is from stress to conscious and free. And so my chapter is about like my journey of anchoring into the present moment. And it started out with, a life-threatening incident that I had back in 2009, and that wasn't even enough to like wake me up to present. So it's about changing my relationship to the doing and all of the humanness and the emotions into widening the perspective and the perception to really living in the living in awareness and of self-acceptance, self-compassion, and really, embracing your own authenticity.
Oh my goodness, my favorite topic ever. How did you know that that was going to be the next question for you all too? Okay, so before we go there though, change your relationship to doing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, so most of us are conditioned in a way of being through whether it's self-worth or it's self-esteem. I think we have become really disconnected to our own true, like our heart, what truly feels good. And so when we're disconnected from being present to like what is, most of the doing becomes out of a should or of a, again, experiences from the past that are a foundation of fear, and that projects into the future. And so what breathwork allowed me to do, that's my tool in this thing, in this chapter, is that it allowed me to sit with the isness, is what I call like the isness of everything that we do, all of our responsibilities, but do it in a way of being that feels good, because you're connected to feeling, again, like that place of the heart. Which brings me back to like Angela, thank you for that first, starting with the breath, and the breath becomes the anchor to the present, the anchor to your heart, the anchor to a way of being, the anchor to your authenticity, the anchor to like this wide perspective of like why we're really here. So yeah, that's.
I'm madly scribbling a note of something you just said. Your breath is the anchor for your authenticity. I love that. For a lot of things, I think it's a magical tool, and super grateful that you're talking about that. Actually, several of you. There always seems to be a theme in the books where foundational practices come up. Breathwork is definitely one of those. There's a mindset one that comes up as a theme a lot too. And I think our readers are going to be really enjoying hearing those things in all of your different unique voices. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you for stepping up. Thanks for saying yes to the project, but for recognizing that your unique voice is important, because we could have 100 chapters on breath work, and you all know that there would be 100 different ways to talk about it. And you know how it goes. I said this in our last interview too. You could hear something 9 times, but it's the 10th person, and all of a sudden your light bulb goes off because you heard it in exactly the way you needed to hear it from that person. And that's what you all are doing so brilliantly. So thank you for sharing your stories and these master tools with the world. Okay, so here's that juicy next question. And Tanya got me thinking about it right away when she talked about presence and awareness. Awareness is one of the keys to understanding healing and transformation. I feel lucky to have had a life dedicated to it, but I want to help people who haven't, so they can benefit too. So Brett, I'm going to start this one with you. Would you share a little bit about what that personal awareness practice looks like in your life?
Yeah, it's something that I call life inventory. And it's something that I do with every single one of my programs. Is if we were a mom and pop shop, before we put our next orders in, we need to know what we've sold for the day, for the week, so that we know where we are, so that we know where we're going. I don't think we do that enough as humans. We need to take that life inventory, pause for a second, and find out where we are so that we know where we're going. I call it the GPS method. So many times people set the goal, right? I know I want to go there, but if you think about anytime you get in your car and you set your GPS, before it can tell you exactly how long it's going to take and the roads to take, it needs to know where you are. So that is just a great awareness practice of getting real, getting honest with yourself. Sometimes you need that external voice to kind of see the big picture for you, or that coach, that leader, that trainer, whatever it may be. But finding out where you are is super powerful to helping you find the right path or the right turn by turn direction to get you to the goal or to get you to the destination that you're looking for. So taking that life inventory, whether it's a checkpoint, whether it's a check-in, weekly, monthly, I think at the very minimum you should be doing it quarterly, but setting goals January 1st and not checking them until December 31st is definitely not the recipe for success.
So that's perfect, because I was just about to ask you, how often do you do that?
So I do it weekly, and all of my programs are run weekly, because what I want to do is I want to almost give them so much accountability that they can't avoid it. And then as we grow our awareness, or as we get more confident, as we gain the tools, we don't need that check-in as often. But it's funny, anything that I do that I start to feel myself slipping on, or a standard of mine that I'm no longer holding, the check-ins get shorter and shorter, because you just need to have that accountability that it's going to be there. But as you grow that awareness, as you grow the confidence, you can extend the check-in a little bit. But I would say early on, check in as often as you possibly can.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, Jen, what would you add to this about your personal practice? So the thing about answering the question first is, like, everyone will go, "Ooh, yes, we all do that." So now I'm going to say, what else does your practice look like, right? There's lots of different ways that we can share with our listeners.
Yeah, the thing that I have used myself and teach a lot over the last 11 years is checking in with a why moment for why you do what you do, which keeps you connected to your authentic self. So again, I told you that I wasn't the popular choice for, military spouse, because I wasn't doing it right, as Tanya said, in the ways that I should do it. And so I had to stay really grounded in, why am I actually doing this? Because it's going outside the norms in so many different ways. And the story that I tell, I call it the girl on the floor story, about my lowest moment, brings me back to that place where I know I wake up every single day with a purpose, a clear purpose, which is the tool that I give in the chapter, to achieve helping that same girl on the floor. If I don't get up and do my work today, she's going to remain on the floor because she doesn't have options that I'm going to give her. And so I viscerally can feel those feelings when I go back to that moment on the floor, of the way it looked, the way it felt, the way it smelled, the way I reacted. And it immediately is my reset button for why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it gets me in this positive mindset of, I will go change the world today because she needs me. So I try to use that at any point in time where I feel like I'm straying from who I am, what I'm after, what I'm, my purpose is in life. I can just go back to that moment and sit myself there, and it literally brings me back. And I teach all the ladies I work with to do the same. Their moments will look different than mine, but it is that actual physical feeling of, here's what I'm meant to do.
I love that, because I think a lot of our awareness practices are a reset button. And of course, there's a million different ways to reset. And I love giving all of our readers of these books lots of different ways, because that's giving people hope, right? You've been to 10 doctors for the diagnosis, for the answer, and you still haven't got the great answer yet. And sometimes you lose the hope. But there's always another way to think about this. You all are offering perspectives that are life-changing. Super, super awesome. Tanya, how about you? What's your practice look like?
So my practice obviously includes breath work. Is I follow, as far as a reset, I reset every month, but I follow the moon. So new moons are symbolic of fresh starts, new beginnings, and with positive neuroplasticity, the way that we begin to create, new neural pathways, new rewiring from, again, like that pattern way of being, and from our past that no longer serves us, is to deliberately have new experiences. So every new moon is a call for a new experience. And when you deliberately create these new experiences, you're calling in those challenges, right? So, it's a way to be able to really feel into our nervous system when we feel like we're up against our growing edges, and use breath work to, again, be able to, again, not like resist, avoid, or numb the humanness, but to learn to integrate those discomfort, those feelings of anxiety, those feelings of fear, those feelings of shame and judgment, to, again, reconnect to that feeling in our body that feels authentic. And unless you have that feeling, you're not going to know that feeling, right? It's just, deconstructing that Maya Angelou quote of, you're going to forget what they say, but you're not going to forget the way you feel. Once you're so embodied in your authentic, like, nature, meaning it just flows, you're not going to forget that feeling, right? So when you all of a sudden, your sympathetic nervous system fight flight, as Brett says, like Sunday comes in, you're totally not present, you're worried about like the week, that feeling, so you're going to know that you want to reset. So that's what I do. I follow the new moon, I follow full moons, are about the release, and then start it all over for the new cycle. So something to really, really look forward to every 29 and a half days.
I love that idea of an awareness practice being to experience something new, and especially following the moon. That's going to break some people out of the box of their thinking about what an awareness practice has to be. Someone said it earlier, the shoulds and supposed tos, like, it might have been you, Tanya. We need to get out of that obligatory action taking, and connect with that other thing that helps us choose, right? With awareness, we get that choice. It's profound, really. Angela, how about you? What's your practice look like?
I'm sitting here, I'm feeling a lot, and that is who I am. I just feel my way through life. And so for so long, I beat myself up about it because I couldn't put into words the feelings that I had. And now my practice is so full of love and grace for myself that my awareness is always coming to my heart and seeing how I feel. And right now I feel really grateful to be in this setting. And I think my old me would have been like, oh my God, well, Brett did this and Jen is this, and that comparison game, which so many people do. And now I can sit here and really feel like we're in a sacred space, just in this group, and how beautiful each and every one of our stories are. And the readers are the same, like the world, that is what it is, So there's something called the infradian rhythm, which is the ideal cycle for women. And that is something that I use for my awareness. So men are very good. Their optimal function is on the circadian rhythm. But for women, we do well basing our productivity over a month span. And so every month, at least during our reproductive years, we go through winter when we have our periods, then spring, summer, and fall. And so I follow that. That's part of my awareness. And so when I'm in my fall and winter, I give myself grace to not socialize with people because I don't want to. Things are happening in my body, they're shifting. I plan things during my spring and summer because I know I'm going to show up full of love and light and joy, and I will be able to really bring what I want to bring. But the awareness has really come from just living in my heart space and always coming back to that and knowing there's no shoulds in my life. And anytime that I mess up, I just literally say, love and grace, love and grace. I don't get upset with myself anymore. I embrace who I am. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm in the perfect place for myself at the moment. And living that way is such a gift.
Oh, you said a couple of things I want to pull back to, but how cool to think about every single month having the 4 seasons so that you can plan. Back to Brett's planning. You can do some planning, but you can be planning for those times and really honor how you're feeling is the point there, I know. And then I'm going to just say that comparisonitis thing, right? So I also feel the gratitude of being in a room full of wise, aware, grateful people, because that is a high vibration. Mm-hmm. And these interviews are very high vibe because you all walk your walk, because you are vibrating at a higher level very purposefully as a model for other people, right? What an awesome playground I get to play in every day, being around you all. And what I want to say to the listeners about that awareness practice for me is that choose those people. You get to choose. You get to set up that environment. And if you are in an environment that isn't feeling so great, it's such a wonderful day and age, right, where we can go online if we have to, and we can connect with people who are practicing like this. Mm-hmm. And any way that you can build that community. Jen and I, had that conversation about community. Community is so important. I'm so grateful to all of you for being such badasses in terms of your walk. So thank you all for that. Okay, so Jen, I'm going to start this next question with you. And this is a huge question, all of you. So I'm going to challenge you today to choose a slice of the pie for your answer, because we could be talking about this one all day long. But when I chose healthcare way back when, I knew that a holistic approach was important. So what I want to know from all of you is, why is that important to you? Why holistic when it comes to healing and transformation? What's important about that word?
That's a great question. And because I work with women, I think it took me, and I used to work with men. So I came from a world of all men. I kind of had to do this a lot in my, my Air Force job to get where I wanted to go. I had to shed a lot of those staying external kind of ways of being. And when I started working with women, at first, I actually thought it wasn't real. I thought these women do not really care about me as much as they are, or they seemingly are. This community could not be as tight as it is. And I thankfully am a part of a really great community of women. But what I started to realize is that we are holistic beings. It's not just about the achievements or about the accolades or the rank or what you achieve in life. It's so much more than that. And I love what Angela says, because it took a lot of years for me to shed those layers to really understand that you can't be great. You might have accolades, but you can't be great until you are centered in who you really are and what you're meant to do. So now I'm able to see a much more colorful world when I coach women of what it is that they need. They can't always be great at achieving a higher title or a higher, dollar figure or whatever, if the rest of their life is not in check. And I love what you say about higher vibrations. A lot of women, I realize too, are afraid of letting go of those old things that hold them back. So being able to bring awareness to that for people and for myself has been fantastic, to be able to live, work, and just exist at a higher vibration to feel more holistically who you are. So it's very important in what I do.
Awesome, Jen. Thank you. Tanya, how about you? What do you want to add about holistic?
That was beautiful, Jen. When I think about holistic, immediately what comes to mind is in yoga psychology, when you talk about like the layers and the sheets and like the whole mind body disconnection. And when you're not holistically connected, you're just not flowing, right? And so we have we have a physical body, we have a energetic body, we have a mental emotional body, we have a wisdom body. And when all that is connected, we are connected to one, we are connected to infinite. And that is of the highest vibration, and so that's why a holistic approach to anything is, to me, critical, because you can say you want to manifest, but you're not going to be able to manifest if you're not a vibrational match for what it is you want to call in. So again, if you're living in a way that doesn't feel holistic, and you're living in a way that feels like a should, and when you're living in a way that is not authentic, that's going to be the vibrational match you're gonna get boomerang back to you. So holistic to me just means like connecting to infinite, and that's where abundance is.
And you use the word critical. I'm glad you said that. It's critical if you're interested in this journey in terms of feeling a little better than possibly you do now. That is critical. And I think that everybody is learning more and more about what holistic means. The word alternative, I have moved away from, because holistic is mainstream to me now. Holistic is not alternative anymore, right? And that gets me excited. Angela, how about you? What do you want to say about the importance of a holistic approach?
To me, holistic approach is whole, WHOLE, right? And that's why I go to my heart, because in my heart is where my soul lives, and my soul is whole, and my soul is radiant. And when I'm in my head, that's where ego lives, and that's where fear is, and that's where the shoulds are. And so holistic is the only way I know. I feel so much that I don't know another way. And for a while I judged that feeling and thought something was wrong with me, because most people, there are a lot of empaths out there, but we are all whole. And once you see it, that's what I'm saying. You can't go back. I know I'm whole, and I just needed to remember it. And everyone who doesn't feel whole is whole. They just don't remember yet. And it's such a beautiful thing when you do, because then you want everyone to remember that they're whole. It's all connected, and we are all connected, and it's so beautiful, and it's so supportive, And so what Jen was saying, women, there's a quote, Our Deepest Fear, from Marianne Williamson. And it kind of goes to what Jen was saying, like, can women really feel this way to me? I don't understand. But Marianne Williamson wrote this poem, and the quote is, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. It is that we are more powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." And that took me years to get over, because we're so much more comfortable being in our dark, playing small, and it doesn't serve anyone. And so when you finally step into your light, you just radiate it. And then people are like, what are you having? I want that. And you start to attract, all of us. Like, I've been tearful and joyful reading through everyone's chapters. The 3 other authors here's chapters touched me in such beautiful, powerful ways. And this is only 4 of us out of, 21. It's so incredible. It raises the vibration. We all have figured out, and we all fully accept that we're whole. And we just want that same thing for everyone else. That's the beauty, right?
Yes. Welcome, brave healers, to my playground. Yes, yes, yes.
Angela,
awesome.
if I can add to that too, I will say, I think I've coached, somewhere in the thousands of women at this point in time. And exactly what you're saying is right, that it's so much easier to stay small. And what happens is, once you finally step into that light and into your greatness, everything can change, which can be scary, but it can be, I've seen people step away from bad marriages. I've seen people, leave groups of friends, but all for a better life, honestly. So it's scary, but it's good.
Totally. Yeah.
I call that fear, purpose-driven fear. And yeah, gals, awesome. Okay, Brett, how do you want to finish this conversation about holistic?
Well, first of all, we must be hanging out way too much, because I was going to say very similar to the whole, the WHOLE, but also Tanya and Angela just said my 2 favorite quotes that I live and die by all day, every day. So rewind, listen to that again, because those quotes are super, super powerful. But I think of holistic as similar to what Angela was saying, as far as I see it as the big puzzle, and every piece matters in that puzzle. You can't put a puzzle together if a couple pieces are missing, no matter how much you have great intent on those puzzle pieces. And personally, it was the reason why I stepped away from the personal training that I did for so long, because I didn't like how I was being told to do it. I liked what I was doing, helping people with their fitness and wellness, but I didn't like that somebody would come in after missing 3 or 4 weeks, and my job was to immediately put them into lunges and squats, when what I wanted to do was take them in the back room, sit them down and say, what the hell is going on? Let's talk about this. Forget working out today. We got to tap into why you are struggling or what is going on. So what I'm able to do now as a life coach is I'm able to connect these dots and not just focus on the one thing, but let's see how they're all connected. Let's make sure the whole puzzle is coming together in a way that you love and the way that you're going to feel really good about. So when I think holistic, I really do think of the pieces have to go together. You can't take 3 different puzzles and try to connect them. It's got to be your individual puzzle, and you got to make sure that each piece is aligned.
Yes, Brett, thank you. I want to add my 2 cents on the holistic thing. And Brett just helped me understand one of the ways I look at that. In physical therapy, when I would sit clients down, the thing is if you don't ask them what's going on in their life, it doesn't matter what they've come to you, what pain they've come to you for, what's on their doctor's prescription. If you don't ask them what's going on in their life, people have had losses of spouse, loss of job, transitions, divorces, all the things you can think of. And if I was going to look at their body and not ask them questions about their life, then I was missing a piece. And so holistic is that to me. And that's, Brett, you just said that in a different way. Let's figure out what is going on, actually talk to people. And sometimes those clients would be like, why are you asking me that? I'm here for my ankle sprain or whatever it was, right? And I would explain to them that those connections mean something in terms of pain in your body. But the other one that I like to talk about too, because I'm such an anatomy geek, you guys, is being a myofascial specialist. If you come to me with that doctor's prescription for back pain, but I don't look at your ankles or I don't look at your neck, I don't look at your whole body fascial system holistically, I am going to miss a big piece, right? It's the puzzle pieces. And you have to put that whole holistic approach to a full body also. And I love to nudge people. If you've had pain for a long time and you've been to 10 doctors or therapists and nothing's working, well, who has looked at your whole system? Or, who could you access that would take a look at your whole system as a body, but then your whole system as a mind, body, soul? So important. Okay. So, right. And don't get me started on this one. This is like the bit, we could talk about these things all day long. They're really, really important. I hope we're giving some hope and excitement to our listeners who maybe haven't had such great luck, right? Maybe they still have the symptoms or they still have the life that they aren't happy in yet, but
Can I chime a side note?
Yeah, go for it.
I always go to Louise Hay. She has a book called You Can Heal Your Life. And if you look up whatever body pain you have, I was talking to a woman yesterday. She's like, I have chronic back pain. I was like, well, your back represents the support you feel in your life. And she's had a very challenging upbringing. So your body is trying to communicate something to you. And if you ignore it long enough, it will create enough pain that you can't ignore it. Right. I won't keep going, but Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Look up whatever body part and it's amazing.
Yeah, that one's on my shelf too. It's fun, right? That one and my spirit animal wisdom one. I take those little Bibles and I'm looking things up like I'm reading my horoscope or something, It's good stuff. It gives you different perspective, gives you something different to think about in terms of the cause, root cause, y'all, right? Holistic, it also means that to me. Getting to root causes of the issues. You have to look at somebody holistically. Okay, a few minutes left. Another last question for all of you. Tanya, I'm going to start with you for this one. You are all incredible coaches and therapists and practitioners, and you take it upon yourselves to really help connect your clients with that inner wisdom. We're not here to fix people. Nobody is broken. We're here more as facilitators, as guides. And so I thought I would ask all of you to just offer to our listeners something that might help them feel empowered today. How do you empower your clients? What's one little thing you want to talk about?
I guess what I'm downloading right now when I think about being empowered is connecting to your sense of power, right? And so, and success is defined differently by everybody, but what I would say is that it's internal success first, and that will be the mirror to your external success. And so when people think about power, it's usually measured through externally. But so when you feel this felt sense of, again, just this connection to yourself with a capital S, that will be reflected outwardly to you. So your reality outwardly will match this felt sense of just such a like, I don't know, just, it's just like this empowered way of living because you're not dependent on external external ways of getting it. It's all inside.
Yes, I want to back up and say it one more time in a summary for our listeners who may have been trying to grab onto that because they knew there was something juicy there, right? So when you're feeling that connection, it's going to reflect outwardly. Your outer situation will be badass because you are connected like that, right? Yeah. So it's a signpost. It's a marker. It's you have to discern the feelings so that you know the difference. And it's that language of your soul that you're learning.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight. So it's just the idea of like your intuition. When you talk about intuition, it's really like a muscle. So it is a devotion. It is a practice to like relearning that voice, and again, it comes in a way of feeling again in your body, as Angela was saying, your body's always messaging you. So it comes in a way where every experience, every opportunity is a chance to either feel open and expansive or like closed and contracted. And then once you start to feel that feeling, you start to, again, you feel empowered because you learn that discernment from your body speaking to you. It's all internal.
Yes, perfect. Okay, Angela, how about you with something you'd like to say to the listeners to help them feel a little more empowered today?
Totally agree with everything Tanya just said. Something that I did this past year is use a tool called the Big Emotion Wheel. And I find it really supportive because my main big emotion is anger. And so we all think anger is bad. So as soon as you think that I'm angry and angry is bad, you're down the rabbit hole of judging yourself, etc. The big wheel of emotion breaks down anger, and the big emotions are in the middle, in the center, and then it expands 2 more circles and it has a lot more specific emotions. So instead of saying I'm angry, I could look at the wheel and go, actually, I'm feeling humiliated and embarrassed. And once I can get more specific with what the emotion is, that huge label of, I'm angry, that's bad, shrinks. And I can really look at, well, it makes sense that I'm humiliated and embarrassed because this just happened. And so then that allows compassion to come in. The big emotion isn't so big. It's more clear. It's more specific. It's more understood. And then you start to be able to give yourself a little bit more love and grace than thinking this big thing is so bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Awesome. Powerful tool. What did you call it? The big wheel of emotions?
It's called the Big Emotion Wheel. You can look it up. There's lots of different variations. They say there's 8 primary emotions, but there's so many more specific emotions. And once you start to work with them, then you start to understand yourself better and feel more compassionate for why you feel that way. And then you don't put this big label, which generally is harsh, on ourselves, right? So that has been a phenomenal tool this past year that's really helped me understand my big feelings and work through them.
Yes.
Can I add to that, Laura?
Please.
So I have it right here, but it's black and white, right? To the wheel. And so on the other extreme, like when you're working with like a higher vibration or asking somebody to call in like joy, people are like, I don't know how to call joy in. And you would go to joy, one of like the 6 primary emotions. You're like, oh, you can bring joy in by being creative, or like by, or like by dancing. So there's so many different ways once you go to that one emotion that you want to call in of how you can actually bring that in. So yeah, so great, Angela.
She had that show and tell.
I have it in a pillowcase. We talked before. No, we didn't. Okay. That's amazing that you had that.
That's awesome. You guys are awesome. You're also making me think of, I had a couple of really powerful conversations with a counselor and we were talking about shame. And the idea was you call that particular emotion out and almost right in the calling out it dissolves. So like if you can get to it specifically in that moment of awareness, right? So I think that's just another way of saying what you were saying about that. We were talking about shame specifically though.
There's a step just to add to that. There's Pema Chodron has a 90-second secret. And so it is exactly what you did. Once you can label what it is, You can go, wow, I'm feeling a lot of shame. And then you start counting to 90 out loud, because it takes 90 seconds for us to go down the rabbit hole where we start thinking all the things. But if you can recognize the emotion in the moment and then call it out and start counting, you disseminate it completely. It's so awesome.
Nice. Thank you, Pima.
Yes.
Okay, Brett, what do you want to add for our listeners to help them feel a little more empowered today?
I just want to say how awesome it is to be surrounded by such amazing people. I'm learning, I'm writing notes over here. I got things I got to Google when I get off of here. It's just so cool to be in a collaborative environment where you're just learning from other people who are great at what they do. So we need to write another book. That's all I'm saying. Is again, this is book one. We'll go from there.
I got you.
Yeah. So I think confidence comes up a lot of times when it comes to not just people starting, but anywhere along their journey. And as a society, we love to label people as either confident or non-confident. And I think that's BS, because I think everybody is confident in some areas of their life, and there are also areas of their life where we are seeking to improve that confidence. So I've coined a phrase called the ABC method. And the ABC method is when people want confidence, it's as easy as ABC. And ABC stands for action builds confidence. And any area of your life that you want confidence in, I challenge you, take one small step of action, and immediately you're going to start to feel that confidence improve. You asking all of us to speak about the chapters that we wrote, we're very confident in that because we talk about it all the time. We love it. We're passionate about it. But if you asked me to sit down and play the piano for people, I would have zero confidence because I don't know how to do that. So there are always going to be these areas, but if I started to take some piano lessons, all of a sudden my confidence builds. So for anybody out there seeking personal growth, seeking wisdom, healing, whatever it may be, if they're not confident in that area, my challenge to you is to step up and take a little bit of confidence, take a little bit of action, and I promise that you'll start to feel more confident. And people who are very confident, they just have reps. They've just put the reps in and done something over and over, and that's why they are extremely confident in that area.
Yes, like training a muscle, right? You don't,
Absolutely.
We think we are supposed to feel confident first before taking the action. And that is the big ass myth, y'all. So you have to do it, and you have to do it with that fear feeling inside of you. And then once you're over on the other side, then you're like, ooh, right? And you can sit up a little taller, you get some of that confidence feeling in there. Secret to life, Brett, you just told them all, the secret to life. Awesome. Okay, Jen, you're gonna close this party out today. Tell us, help us feel empowered.
Yeah, I think we've touched on this, but I'll bring it back around again. I think one of the things that's so important, and both ladies touched on this, is you have to recognize how you feel in certain instances with certain people. So I would love for people to imagine the last time you felt like your best, most empowered self. Who were you with? What were you doing? What was going on around you? Recall that. And I'm particularly thinking of about a month ago, I was with a group of powerful women who I adore, but they know me as my authentic self. So everybody has that last moment you can go back to. And then I think it's really important that, like we said earlier, you always tap into, why am I here? What am I here for? What am I put on this earth to do? I think the reason that we feel confident, as Brett just mentioned, is because we've tapped into that why, that purpose, that clear purpose statement for each of ourselves. What I notice with women is it can be really hazy. Like they think they might know what their why is, but they haven't gotten the validation of those around them because they're not in that empowered circle yet. And once they are, the purpose statement becomes clear. They can confidently state, here's what I'm here to do. When people ask them, what do you do? They can say it without hesitation. But until you find that group that's going to bring that out of you, it could be a real big internal battle. So I think just figuring out who your community is to help you do that, tapping into that why, clear purpose statement, and then just like Brett said, going out and doing a baby step every day outside your comfort zone to, get a little stronger in what your convictions are. That's the magic. And it's nothing big. We all know this, just the practice of putting it all together on a regular basis.
Yes, awesome. If we took what you just said and then Brett's idea of doing that life inventory, what if you could do a little mini inventory of your most confident moments and combine those, right? And then you're automatically in that different vibration. I love it. I love it. All of you. I love all of you. You're amazing. Your chapters are gifts to the world. Thank you so much for what you do and for being here to share it with everyone. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much,
us.
Laura. And thank you
Thank
all
you,
for your
Laura.
chapters too. They were amazing. And Colleen.
Yes,
Thank you.
Colleen. All right. To all our listeners, please remember to join us for our live stream book launch party on January 4th, 10 Eastern AM. And I'm going to be gathering with all of our authors from Sacred Spaces. We'll be doing some fun giveaways that day. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. And I have you linked up down below in the show notes with that. And if something one of these amazing authors said to you today really turned you on or turned the light bulb on, got you thinking in a different way, please go on down. I have them hooked up with their websites. Have a little click, see what they're up to in the world. The one biggest mission with the books that we publish was I wanted the reader to not only have those practical experiences, but when you read a book and you get some of those, and then there's well, now what? Well, these people that you are looking at right now are very generously there for that next connection. They want you to reach out. They want you to ask your questions and ask for the support that you need. And that's the now what. We are not going to leave you hanging from the book on, right? So go on down, click on their websites and take that next step. Be brave about that, right? And if you're listening to this after January 4th, well, that means this book is ready on Amazon. So you can go on over and grab your copy. Lastly, today, everybody, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, everyone. Thanks, authors.